You ever have one of those moments where you look back and think, that really happened to me? Well, let me tell you about the wildest fight over a fishing tent you'll ever hear, because I lived it, and I still shake my head at how it all spiraled. My name's Jason Parker, and 5 years ago I thought I'd found a little slice of paradise on Willowbrook Lake, a quiet spot where you could hear the wind in the trees and maybe, if you were lucky, catch a fish before breakfast. That was before I met Margaret Reynolds, the self-declared queen of our HOA, and before I found myself at the center of a showdown that would blow up everything I thought I knew about suburban peace, neighborly trust, and just how far someone will go to hold on to a little power. Let me set the scene for you, because I swear, you can't make this stuff up. I'm 40, a graphic designer who prefers headphones and a mug of strong coffee to drama. Moved here for the lake and the quiet after too many years in noisy apartments. Willowbrook's small, 70 houses, mostly retirees and families. It was the kind of place where the biggest argument used to be over whether you could have colored bulbs in your Christmas lights, or if your mailbox matched your siding. I thought I was home. Then came Margaret. Picture the most intense neighborhood watchdog you can imagine. She measures lawns, times trash cans, and treats HOA rules like gospel. But I stayed off her radar for years, just kept my head down, until the day I set up a new fishing tent in my backyard. This wasn't some eyesore, mind you. Earth tones, modern, and tucked right by the water where I could sip coffee and watch the sun come up. Max, my dog, was running around, happier than ever, and honestly, so was I. Then Margaret shows up on her 7 a.m. power walk, takes one look at my tent, and you'd think I'd built a neon nightclub. She storms up and asks, "What exactly do you think you're doing?" All sharp voice and furrowed brow, the whole neighborhood in earshot. I try to keep it light, just setting up my fishing tent. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, big mistake. Suddenly I'm public enemy number one, accused of building an illegal structure that's ruining her lake view. That I try to reason with her, say it's temporary and on my property, but she's not having it. Next thing I know, she's on the phone with 911, describing my 6 by 8 foot tent as a fortress and an immediate danger. I stand there holding the instructions, neighbors peeking out, Max at my feet, while Margaret goes full Broadway, telling the dispatcher I'm blocking the whole community's access and could collapse the whole shoreline. You know what I mean? Pure theater. 15 minutes later, the cops show up. Officer Martinez and his partner take one look at my setup, then at Margaret, and I can see the "not this again" look pass between them. They check the tent, measure my yard, and basically say, "Sir, you're not breaking any laws here." Margaret snaps photos of everything. Me, the tent, my poor confused dog, and yells, "This isn't over," before storming off. Yeah, that happened. You'd think it would end there. But Monday morning, I get a certified letter, $500 per day in fines for unapproved structures. Margaret follows up with a community-wide email, never says my name, but makes it clear there's a resident who thinks the rules don't apply to him. Suddenly, neighbors cross the street to avoid me, and the people who used to wave don't even make eye contact. I'm getting iced out of my own neighborhood, and Margaret's loving every minute. Now, I could have backed down, but that's not in my nature. I dove into the HOA bylaws, spent hours with sticky notes and highlighters. And here's the kicker. The very rule Margaret used to fine me, Section 15.3, it didn't even exist in the original documents. In fact, the real bylaws said temporary structures under 50 square feet. My tent was 48, needed no approval. Margaret had just made up a rule and slipped it into the book without any vote or notice. Armed with all this, I showed up at the next HOA meeting. 25 neighbors, Margaret at the front acting like the judge and jury. She makes a big speech about protecting property values. Then I stand up, put both sets of bylaws side by side, and ask, when did Section 15.3 get added? The silence was brutal. She tries to bluster, but then says, I don't have to justify every administrative update. I'm the president. The room shifts. You could feel it. From then on, Margaret goes nuclear. Daily emails about uncooperative homeowners, fines for my grass being a half-inch too long, my flower pot being too close to the walkway, even the trash can being out 12 hours early. She bans fishing at my favorite time in the morning, citing lake maintenance. It's all so targeted. You have to laugh, or you'd cry that's when I get creative. If I can't fish in the lake, I'll bring the fish to me. I buy a goldfish bowl, set it by the shore with my coffee, and watch my new aquatic pals swim in circles. The neighborhood kids love it. Parents are quietly cheering me on, and when Margaret sees me, she's speechless. "What are you doing now?" she huffs. "Observing fish," I deadpan. "Not against any rules I know of." Every time she sends a violation, I outdo her with compliance. Hiring landscapers with precision measuring tools, moving pots with GPS, responding to each letter with a photo, timestamp, even a soil analysis. Margaret can't keep up, and people start to see how absurd her vendetta really is. I start getting high fives from neighbors and offers to join my aquatic observation club. But then things get really strange. I get an anonymous email. "You're not the only one she's hurt. Check your mailbox tomorrow." Sure enough, there's a manila envelope full of HOA financial records, bank statements, invoices, all the stuff you'd need to sniff out fraud. Turns out, Margaret's been paying her son's landscaping company 3 times the going rate, billing for community improvements that only show up in her backyard, and inventing fake catering companies to pad meeting expenses. Over $45,000 gone in 3 years. I organize it all, color-coded charts, timelines, cross-referenced receipts. I write up a letter for every household, drop off copies at City Hall, email the whole block, even tip off the local news. When the emergency meeting happens, it's standing room only. 68 out of 70 houses represented, TV crews outside, neighbors furious. Margaret tries to spin it as a vendetta, but when I lay out the evidence, side-by-side comparisons, her son's company, her backyard upgrades, the fake catering invoices, it's game over. People are shocked, angry, betrayed. They vote to remove her on the spot, and within 2 weeks the DA files charges for embezzlement and fraud. Margaret's family has to sell their house, move out of state, and she's banned from every community area. The HOA rewrites the rules: transparency, real elections, monthly financial reports, and my tent gets grandfathered in as a permanent example of what not to mess with. The best part? I get my peace back. Mornings by the lake, Max at my side, fishing the way I always wanted. The lesson? Stand up to bullies. Sometimes the only way to fix a broken system is to drag it out into the light. So what do you think? Was I right to stand my ground? Or did I just stir up trouble? Drop a comment. Let's hear what you'd do if it happened to you. And hey, next time someone tells you to take down your tent, maybe double check who's really breaking the rules.